welcome to SveNFL.
What's up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Skip me, Sarah.
Two Americans living in Sweden, talking about the motherfucking Super Bowl.
Let's go, motherfucking Super Bowl. Yeah.
Man. I am excited. I found a recipe for the hot honey.
Nice.
A take on it.
Right.
I get excited when I look up a recipe on YouTube and the person has black hands. She knows what she's talking about. But she didn't put a vegetable on that motherfucker, man. I was like, damn, she just put chicken and bread? Come on, man.
So when it's white hands, do you feel like, man?
It depends on what I'm looking at.
It is cultural appropriation.
If it's white hands and I'm looking for macaroni and cheese, then I skip to the next. You know,
and you're like
collard greens.
Man, did this dude just did this?
Man, did this dude just did this?
Nah, or if it's a white woman and it's like okra or something like that, I'm like,
This bitch.
Exactly.
No, but if it's like pasta,
right.
Then oh yeah, we all the white hands necessary. If it's a potato salad, I'm sorry, man, I gotta go with the black hands on that one.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so certain things, it depends on the hands. But then this hot honey, I didn't trust these black hands. She didn't. I was like, I had a hot honey. She didn't do it was missing ingredients. She didn't put a vegetable on that thing. She just made the sweet hot honey chicken, basically.
So she didn't do the fried dill.
Nope,
pickles.
She didn't do the fried pickle. That's what I was looking for. I wanted to see all of that stuff. So I'm gonna do my thing though. I'm making sliders. I found the slider bread and everything to make my sliders for the Super Bowl. My hot honey sliders.
Nice. I'm still probably not going to stay awake to watch this game. Just got too much going on. I can't sacrifice a Monday at the moment.
I took boo off of the soundboard, and I regret it right now because I was gonna boo the shit out of you, man.
I know.
But you're gonna see it. You're gonna watch.
Oh yeah. I think we're probably gonna. I think on Monday evening we'll probably gather the family in the living room, and at the very least watch the game in 40 version.
Yeah.
And just sort of consume it that way.
And the halftime show.
Exactly. Saga is pumped for the halftime show. I think she forgot how much she liked Rihanna until they announced it, and she suddenly was like, "Wait a minute!" And she like kind of got back into Rihanna. A lot of people forgot about Rihanna because she hadn't done much in a couple of years, but yeah, she's kind of she's pretty pumped about that. I'm a neutral on Rihanna. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Yeah. I've never really listened to her that much.
Apparently, she puts a good show on, though.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it. It should be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'm a little more dressed up than usual today because today is my 24th wedding anniversary.
Yeah, man! Congratulations! 24 years, man. Coming up on that silver.
That's right. Nearly quarter of a century. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, man.
That's pretty crazy. And what am I, 10 years older than you? How old were you when you were a teenager when I got married?
Damn, what year did you get married?
I got married in 1999. I think I was 25.
Oh, wow.
25, 26.
I turned 17 that year. The 24th anniversary is the Opal.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, man. It's the Opal anniversary. So do
nice.
something, get her some Opal. Watch an episode of Oprah. Be like, I'm sorry, baby. I heard it wrong. My bad.
Right. Well, we're after we do the pod today, she and I are gonna go on a little 24-hour romantic getaway, which is what we normally do every year. We go to this hotel has a nice little spa. We kind of chill out and just kind of, eat some good food and
Nice.
and celebrate our love connection.
Good,
that
man.
picture that you always see behind me, that's from the day we got married, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
She still looks the same. I have evolved.
One of you has to. Jeez.
Yeah, one of us had to evolve.
Tell her to grow up.
She's so basic. 24 years later, I look the same, whatever.
Be mature.
Yeah. Thank God for that. Yeah, let's. We got a little bit of news to hit before we start diving into all the Super Bowl stuff.
What'd you call it?
Oh, sorry, not the Super Bowl stuff. The because Super Bowl, again, speaking of basic,
yeah, exactly.
Whatever. Before we dive into the splendidly sexy, salaciously slippery Super Bowl extravaganza, is what I meant to say.
Yes.
First up, your guy, Brian Flores.
Yes.
Hired as the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is a very, very smart hire.
Yes.
What say you?
I think it's a smart hire. I think it's also smart of him to remove himself from the Arizona Cardinals debacle over there.
Agreed.
That's looking ahead.
I think. Well, the rumor is that so there were 3 people up for the Arizona Cardinal job. Lou Anarumo. I don't know why I keep forgetting the other guy's name.
I think it was the offensive coordinator from somewhere.
For some reason, I always forget his name, but Brian Flores. The rumor is that Flores knew he wasn't going to get the job, and so he just took himself out of the running. Or I guess you could say that, I mean, the Cardinals probably has to be one of the least attractive jobs out there at the moment, given the uncertainty with Kyler Murray, the new GM. It's just it's an organization that doesn't really seem like it knows what it's doing.
Yeah, it was that one and Denver that people were worried about.
Right.
And but Denver, they got the big fish. So
well, I think Denver did the smartest thing they possibly could have done, because if you went for one of these, you already made the mistake of getting the unproven coach. You needed someone whose resume is just flat out undisputed. Someone like Sean Payton, who the other story, which I didn't even put on here, which is one of my favorite things that happened this week, was Sean Payton announcing that Russell Wilson's personal PR and workout crew are now officially banned from the building.
Whoa.
He's like, yeah, that's not happening. We're not doing it. It's sort of like remember when Belichick got rid of Tom Brady's TB12 staff? He's like, these idiots have to go. Sean Payton just did the same thing to Russell. Russell Wilson had his own kind of quarterbacks coach, his own strength and as if the team doesn't provide any of that stuff. Yeah. And then on top of that, he had his own PR unit that would follow him around and document everything. And Sean Payton was like, that's the first thing that goes.
You think when it was time to leave and go somewhere that Russell Wilson said, PR team, let's ride.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Let's ride.
He's
it's
so
man,
cringy.
This is really good, man. I'm going to say this all the time.
Who would have thought that Russell Wilson would have such strong, Michael Scott vibes? You know what I mean? He's like Michael Scott from The Office, just cringy as fuck.
Yeah, man. Damn. And landed Rihanna. I mean, not Rihanna, Ciara.
Well, I have a news story about them in a second, which is fascinating. But first, let's get through the coach stuff. 49ers hired Steve Wilks as their defensive coordinator.
Okay.
Wilks got passed over for the head coaching job in Carolina, obviously. Right. But given that the last 2 defensive coordinators out of San Francisco have gone on to be head coaches, despite the fact that they are also black, I assume has shown Wilks the wisdom of playing the long game. Thinking, well, maybe this is how I get a head coaching job. Become defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers.
Get another head coaching job.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Got screwed out of Arizona.
That's true. That again, why would you go to Arizona? I don't think Arizona. That's another. I think Arizona. Why do we keep going back to Arizona? But I think whoever takes the next head coaching job at Arizona is in danger of the same thing that happened to Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe not so much a one and done kind of situation, but it's just not a stable environment. I think going to the 49ers for Steve Wilkes is a very smart move. They have, he clearly, we saw it in the last, when he took over for Matt Rule, those Carolina Panthers, he got those Panthers to play hard for him.
Yeah.
Like they really, and they were on record saying that they wanted Steve Wilkes to become the permanent head coach. This guy knows how to treat his players. He knows how to get them to play hard. And now he's going to the 49ers, who have a defensive personnel, unlike, very much at the top tier of the entire league. So this is a very smart move by him.
And Shanahan is also playing a long game because these dudes keep getting hired and he keeps getting compensatory draft picks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's pretty dope for him.
I told Isak yesterday, I keep waiting for the article to pop up one day that says, have we been overrating Kyle Shanahan all these years?
I know you.
I keep waiting. I keep waiting for it to pop up because it will. It'll happen eventually. So someday my take will be right.
He's gonna be the Sean McVay, man. He's the next Sean McVay, where his staff's just gonna keep getting poached.
Right. Yes, Russell Wilson appears to be in a little bit of hot water.
Oh.
I read this yesterday. A new USA Today article claims that Danger Russ, a.k.a. Mr. Unlimited, may not be an NFL MVP, but he is apparently the MVP of scamming people out of his charity.
Ooh.
This is, let's see, what did I do with that story?
Charity money, let's ride.
Yeah, exactly. So, according to this story, you remember we talked about this last offseason because he had come out with, like, he and Sierra came out with some kind of a children's book or whatever.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they have this charity called the Why Not You Foundation. Apparently, they have been accused of only donating approximately 40% of their earnings to charity, with the rest going to fundraising and employee salaries.
The rest going to fundraising for the charity? So they
Correct.
take money from the charity to raise money for the charity.
Yeah, and a lot of it goes to...
So, like, if they're doing a car wash, then they take some of the money from the charity to fund putting on the car wash. Okay.
It says here, in total, the foundation received $7.5 million in revenue through 2021, but only report $2.8 million being passed on to any charitable activities. In the expenses of the foundation includes a 6-figure salary for a personal friend of Russell and Sierra Wilson, who is an employee of the foundation.
Okay. It's not a nonprofit, right?
If it's a charity, I would assume, it is.
Is it? Okay. I thought that was different.
So they also dig a little deeper, and they realize that the website for the Why Not You Foundation does not list any employees or a CEO, but it does show its board of directors, and it is apparently a veritable who's who of nepotism. Not a single member of the charity board has a nonprofit background.
Oh.
But rather, they all share personal connections to Russ and Sierra. So they have a bit of a, and this is, we're talking about a guy who won, like, the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is not a good look.
Not at all.
And this is a pretty broad. He
probably
sweeping...
means well too. That's the crazy part. He probably means well. He's trying to look out for his friends. He's trying to do something good for the community. But this ain't how you do it.
And this is not like some, like, goofy internet sleuth who paid for his blue check mark. I mean, he got popped by USA Today. These kind of stories, they're not necessarily known for their hardcore investigative reporting. You know what I mean?
It wasn't by USA to this day.
USA to this day.
To this day.
Speaking of in trouble, we got Michael Irvin.
Shout out to Michael Irvin, my guy.
Michael Irvin, who was accused of sexual harassment after a drunken pre-Super Bowl night out, has now flipped the table and sued the accuser as well as the Marriott hotel chain, because I'm assuming she was a hotel employee, suing them for $100 million, claiming alleged false accusations of misconduct. I didn't quite know what to make of this story when it first came out, because Michael Irvin is claiming that he was, drunk, and he also, the way he worded it was like, well, we had a mostly non-physical interaction. I was like, I'm sorry, what does that mean exactly?
It's 60%. I'm like Russell's Foundation, all right? I was 60%.
Is that like, are we talking? Is that code for I just gave her the tip, or like what are we talking about here?
He's like, I was commenting on the booty and she didn't understand what I was saying, so I just finally, to get my point across, I touched the booty part that I like. Is there anything wrong with that? I was drunk.
To his credit, he does have a fair amount. I mean, this incident apparently happened in the hotel lobby, and he does have a fair amount of witnesses who are willing to back up his story.
I want him to say corroborate on camera.
Corroborate.
I got 5 people there that will corroborate.
He's so funny.
Yeah, man. I got a feeling that he's gonna be cleared. His name's gonna be cleared. I don't know, man.
I do too, actually.
I feel like he might be. I can see him being a target. I can see him being a loudmouth drunk, and then them getting annoyed by him or something, and being like, you know what? Let's get in this dude's pockets. I can see that, but I can also see, as my friends told me in the past, you can't put sexual harassment accusations past any man.
True.
So jury's out on this side. I'm a Michael Irvin fan, and I'm entertained by that man.
I agree. All of the elements for this story to be true are currently present. Obviously, the drunkenness, the night out, the level of entitlement, him being a celebrity, they're partying at the, so I'm not surprised if this happened, but the way that he is kind of pushing back, kind of has me believing that this might be, because there's probably security camera footage too. I think his lawyer put out a statement saying, why would you say that if you knew it was going to prove you wrong? You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see. Again, you're right. Famous people do some crazy shit. They don't function in a world of logic like the rest of us. Which provides us with a perfect transition to Aaron Rodgers. Was the final news story. This is fantastic. Okay, Aaron Rodgers claims he, again, of course, where else does he leak news other than the Pat McAfee show? When asked if he was going to continue playing or if he was going to switch teams or what he was go back to the Packers or whatever he was going to do. Well, the first thing that he said, which immediately had me cracking up, which nobody's really talking about, is he said, well, currently I am in the art of contemplation, which I was like,
what?
I was like, I'm sorry, but when did thinking become an art form? I guess thinking, I don't know. For me, I guess it is in a way because I'm a writer, but it's just such a weird, goofy, pretentious thing to say. It's so on brand for Aaron Rodgers. And then he went on to say that, so last year we learned about the ayahuasca retreat. Mm-hmm. Okay. Remember that? Or no, we also learned about his weird panchakarma cleanse where he just like throws up and shits for 7 days. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. Well, this year, apparently he is going on a darkness isolation retreat that he claims will get him closer to the final decision. He said he's going to spend 4 days and nights in total darkness and isolation on his retreat, which can lead to hallucinations. And this process will give him, quote, an opportunity to do a little self-reflection in some isolation. And after that, I feel like I'll be a lot closer to the final decision. He went on to describe this process a little more in depth, where it's, it's not like you're locked in necessarily. You can leave if you want, but you're in a house. It's in total darkness. There are people there who bring you food. There's a bathroom and all that kind of stuff. But you're supposed to sit there in the dark with your thoughts. Yeah. Are we in or are we out on this? How do you feel about the darkness isolation retreat?
I think this dude, he should do a silence treat, whatever we call it.
Silent retreat? Yeah.
He should do a silent retreat in media. Like a media silent isolation thing where we don't have to hear about this shit. Just go do it and talk about it afterwards.
Right. He, a lot of people, of course, Aaron Rodgers has, in the last couple of years has shown us a little more of his real self. This is totally on brand with him. A lot of people are kind of dunking on him for this and making fun of him. I personally, my opinion on this is more into the category of just you do you, bro. Like,
exactly. Why we got to hear about it? I don't want to hear about it.
It's fine. I'm all here for it. It only reaffirms my desire for him to go play for the New York Jets. I've made it very clear that the idea of Rodgers and his personality and the New York media leading to a scenario where you have like just peak total chaos. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how bad they are. I just want.
I want them to suck.
That would be more fun. It would be more chaotic if they sucked. But I feel like, every other religion has a bunch of weird ass fucking stupid traditions that they follow.
But he's not subscribing to a religion though. This is different.
True.
This isn't saying like I'm a Buddhist or some shit like that. This is saying I'm going to try to do something weirder than the last thing I told you I couldn't shut up about.
Right.
So it's going to, he's annoying the shit out. He was like my favorite quarterback for a while. Or like I would be like, this is one of my favorite quarterbacks.
Has he? Yeah. I mean, I think it's just every week being on the Pat McAfee show and probably feeling like every week he has to say something. It's like, it went very quickly from quirky and entertaining to like, Oh my God, I'm so sick of this guy. I don't think he realizes how he's just
like, how long before you're doing Aaron Rodgers? You know what I'm saying? How long does it last until you're, making a caricature of yourself for the audience?
Well, I think the moment that he walks into a little house to sit in darkness for 4 days, I mean, that's like, it doesn't get much more meta than that. Like, he's literally collapsing in on himself in total darkness. I love it. Yeah.
No drugs involved? He didn't say that he's going to like take shrooms or anything? Or any psychedelics?
He said that he did not refer to that. He did say that, this total darkness thing can lead to hallucinations. Which I guess, a lot of people are making fun of him, saying it sounds a lot like prison, like when you get put in a hole, basically.
It's like, why don't you just go do a crime and then act up in prison?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's voluntarily putting himself in the hole, which some people are kind of making fun of.
How long before he tattoos his eye?
That's a good question. We should do an over/under on that. Well, how we'll broaden it out and just say face tattoo. How long until he gets a face tattoo?
Yeah, the face before the eye. Yeah,
he could get a tear. Yeah, crying.
I saw that lady. You heard about that lady that got the eye tattoo and then went blind?
Oh no, that's terrible.
And I heard about it, and it freaked me out. Like, I was like looking at my phone. It was like on Instagram, and Bash was sitting next to me, and he was like, "What?" I was like, "Man, this lady got her eye tattoo." He's like, "What?" And then he was like, he's been concerned about her ever since. So he like checks in on this lady, like, "What happened?" And her vision came back, But he was like, "What happened? Oh my gosh, that's such a bad idea." I was like, "Yes, remember that, son."
Thank God. That's crazy.
Batch was like,
Man, did this dude just did this?
Dumb as hell. All right. Let's move on to the NFL honors, which took place last night.
"Yes,
You have not seen who won.
no."
The other thing that you probably don't remember is that I have the list of our preseason predictions.
Should we go through that first?
Maybe we could go through them simultaneously.
Ooh,
Like I can tell you who won,
yeah.
and then I can tell you who we thought was going to win.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's do them. Let's do them back to front, like we did last week. Let's see. Coach of the year. The AP Coach of the Year is Giants coach Brian Daboll.
Nice.
Brian Daboll.
Oh,
I'd
no,
say
we
that
should do a.
I'd say he's a worthy winner.
Yes, I said that last week.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats to him. Who do we predict? I think I said McDermott, right?
You and I both picked the same person, actually. We
Brian
picked
Daboll.
Mr. Each and Everyone in the Building.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Exactly.
All right. What's the next one? Well, shout out to Brian
Let's
Daboll.
see. Comeback Player of the Year award. No surprise here. Went to Mr. I Ain't Gonna Write Back, Geno Smith.
Nice. Congrats to Geno Smith, man. Did he have anything to say about it?
I didn't see the.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back though.
I'm sure there were speeches, but I didn't see them.
Okay. Who do we predict?
You predict Jameis Winston. And I predicted Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, interesting one.
Well, because he got injured
Broken foot. Yeah.
towards the end of the year, and I just thought it was a fairly
I was
good
high
chance.
on the Saints before the season started. Little did I know the entire division was going to be ass.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
There's a lot of bad football from what I watch.
Indeed. Let's see. Next up, we got Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Jets cornerback Sauce Gardner.
Wow, he was balling, man. That was no surprise. But who do we pick before the years?
You picked Mr. Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, Aiden Hutchinson.
He was nominated.
He was. My guy was not nominated, but he was. My man, former Bulldog Trayvon Walker. Let's go! I like the grapefruit and the simultaneous. That was good. That's really good. Next up, we have Offensive Rookie of the Year. Another Jet, wide receiver, Garrett Wilson.
Man, that draft. We said that draft was strong.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And for Offensive Rookie of the Year, I picked Falcons Drake London. And you picked my man, former Bulldog George Pickens. I appreciate that. The grapefruit and the might be my most favorite thing right now. Let's see. What's next? Oh, yeah. Where is he? Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay. I think we picked the same on this.
Defensive Player of the Year is 49ers defensive end, Mr. Nicholas Bosa.
Yeah. No surprise there.
Yep. You and I both picked Micah Parsons. Yep. A double. Let's see. What do we got next? We got Offensive Player of the Year is Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson.
Good.
For Offensive Player of the Year, you picked Devontae Adams. And I picked Justin motherfucking Jefferson.
Oh, wow.
Let's go. Someone's got his
Nice.
got my finger on the pulse. Yeah, I'm like 1 for 6.
You really know this league.
You know. Skip
Nah, it
Stradamus is over here crushing it. What else? Oh, now we're on to MVP. Most valuable player of the 2022 NFL season.
Let's go.
No surprise. It is Patrick motherfucking Mahomes.
Well deserved. I think I said Justin Herbert, huh?
You did say Justin Herbert. I said Lamar Jackson.
You said Lamar Jackson. For my Justin Herbert, I had to do a
What's wrong with you?
but for Lamar Jackson.
So I didn't realize this, but there are several other awards that are part of this evening that I was not familiar. Well, so the one that I think we should add to our list every year, even though this is probably very difficult to predict, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. We don't usually predict that one. Yeah. That one went to Dak Prescott.
Nice.
Let's see. This I actually like. They renamed the this year. They decided to rename the rushing title award. I think
Brown?
they now call it the Jim Brown Award.
Nice.
Which I love. I think that's freaking fantastic. That went to Josh Jacobs. I think we should predict that one too.
That's a good one. That's better than Walter Payton.
Yeah, Walter Payton's too hard,
Because I'd have to see what people do on the
Yeah,
you
exactly.
don't really know.
There's some other ones that the Sack Leader Award went to Nick Bosa. Deacon Jones Sack Leader Award. I like that.
I like that, yeah.
We should do that one next year.
Okay.
Let's see. What else? NFL Fan of the Year? No, you can't do that. The Bud Light Celly of the Year Award. That's a weird. I didn't even know that existed. It went to the Bengals for something they did in Week 18. The FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year.
Yeah, they do that of the week. And I
That's
guess
so weird. They
stupid.
picked Joe Burrow and Josh Allen.
Air and ground? What? They picked 2 quarterbacks?
Oh, I did I say Josh Allen? I meant to say Josh Jacobs.
Okay. You got Josh Allen on the brain, man?
I don't know why, because he didn't win anything.
You the real MVP.
This is a weird the Head and Shoulders never not working protection play of the year.
Oh, for offensive lineman.
No, it went to George Kittle. For what? I don't know.
Because he blocks? That's stupid. It's all sponsorship, man. Head and shoulders.
Shout out to D'Amico Ryans. He actually won the Assistant Coach of the Year award.
Oh, yeah, we did say that. Okay, that could be one we could predict.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I felt like there was one more on here that I thought would be fun, but maybe not.
The dating a gay influencer award. Most likely dating a gay influencer award goes to.
The other thing that was announced last night were the people who made it into the Hall of Fame. You got Rondé Barber.
Mm-hmm. No, keep going. One more boy.
Darrell Rivas.
No, shout out to him. Okay.
Joe Thomas.
Okay, good job, Joe Thomas. Offensive tackle, nice. Good. Okay.
Zach Thomas.
There we go.
There we go.
That's what we talk about. Congratulations, man. You know what? I'm the gladdest of him getting in because every year, Dolphins fans on Twitter complain that Zach Thomas was snubbed. And I'm so glad I don't have to hear that shit anymore. I'll be glad when another team gets a undefeated, so I don't have to hear from the 72 Dolphins people anymore. It's just, I wish they would just shut up. That's my thing in life. I just wish they would shut up, people. Why can't people shut up?
DeMarcus Ware also got in, and then a bunch of people I've never heard of. Don Coryell.
He had the Soul Train, right? The guy from Soul Train. No,
didn't he play for the Packers?
Don Cornelius.
Played for the Packers, right? Don Cornelius. Wasn't that our running joke when we don't know where somebody played? He
played he played for the Packers. He easily played for the Packers. For the Bears.
We also we predicted, the other thing we predicted was how the seeding was going to end.
Ooh.
Plus who was going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So
shout out to the Rams.
You actually
I had the Chiefs. I got a Super Bowl MVP. I think I even said Mahomes Super Bowl MVP against the Rams, right?
Okay, so I won't go through all the division winners and all that kind of stuff because it will take too long, and we got most of it wrong. But I will say that as far as the Super Bowl matchup and the winner is concerned, I picked the Bills versus the Eagles, and I thought Josh Allen was going to be the Super Bowl MVP. You, on the other hand, picked the Eagles versus the Chiefs and picked Patrick Mahomes to be the Super Bowl MVP.
I forgot about that. Look at me.
So how about that?
Talk about finger on the pulse, huh?
You literally predicted the Super Bowl.
Man, why don't we bet this stuff? Because we lose everything else. We would lose all the other shit we bet. Okay, look at me, man. I know I was strong on the Eagles. I forgot that I picked them to go. Okay.
So, yeah. So I guess we both more or less just got one thing right.
Yeah. But you also picked the
Eagles.
You also picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl.
That's true. But you might have two things. I mean, if you predict, I mean, you've already predicted that the Eagles are going to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That's already a fucking ding. But if Mahomes wins the MVP, it's like, bro, that's way cooler than me picking who won Offensive Player of the Year. That's like respect. You know what I'm saying?
Ask me the lottery numbers.
Exactly. Go buy you a lottery ticket, son. Also, last night, Bills Damar Hamlin was named the 2023 NFLPA Alan Page Community Award winner.
Oh man, the coveted Alan Page Community Award winner.
Yes, the award is given annually to a player who goes above and beyond to perform community service in his team, city, and or hometown.
I heard that his foundation is run by Russell and Sierra Wilson.
Oh, that's yeah. He might want to check on that.
Check on that, man. We'll see how many people have a background in what do you call it, nonprofits.
Yeah. Well, now Damar Hamlin might finally know the answer to like, man, why am I getting all these phone calls with a Denver area code? Like his money's blowing up. He wakes up from his coma and all of a sudden Russell Wilson's calling him every day.
Your foundation money? Let's ride.
The other finalists for the award, such as New England Patriots cornerback Jonathan Jones, Washington Commanders offensive tackle Charles Leno Jr., Raiders tight end Darren Waller, and Buccaneers linebacker Devin White, went into the night knowing that they were not going to win this award because they did not nearly die on the football field. If that's what they mean by going above and beyond, that's like, I love that.
He went to the beyond for a little bit.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that Damar Hamlin is getting all this shine, but I can't stop thinking about the fact that he basically nearly had to die to get all of this attention. It's like a little disturbing to me, I think.
Yeah, it is a little bit. They're just trying to distract from the part that it's a very dangerous sport.
Exactly. Look at there. It's like the ultimate. Look at the monkey. Like, nope. Look over here. Distraction. Distraction. Distraction.
That'll be the last time that I address it.
Yeah, I highly doubt that. Speaking of things that should be addressed, let's go. Sorry, just a second. Roger Goodell spent a large part of his Super Bowl State of the League press conference the other day defending the officiating in the NFL, saying, it's better than ever. Is it all? Did we get some things? He is right. I think he says what he has to say.
He's better than, it's better than ever, but we're, as fans, worse than ever. And we also have more information than ever.
There's a fair point. Those are all things that he probably can't say in front of a microphone.
They just not gonna want that.
The downside to this is that for the 2023 Super Bowl, head referee Carl Schif.
Jerome Boger.
Oh no, it's not him. It's worse actually. Carl.
Really?
It's either Cheffers or Sheffers. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Will lead the officiating crew. The good news is that he's very experienced, but the bad news is that he has a bit of an itchy trigger finger when it comes to throwing flags. He's been officiating for 23 years. And according to this article, he's most famously known for leading the staff who threw 8 first-half penalty flags against the Chiefs in 2021, which set a Super Bowl record of 95 penalty yards and 6 first downs via penalties. That was the game the Chiefs lost to the Buccaneers.
I wonder if there were any deflated balls in that game.
He's also quite famous for 13 penalties being called in Super Bowl 51 between the Patriots and the Falcons. As far as this season is concerned, the 17-game season,
Wait. So this dude was involved in 2 games with Tom Brady. Wins.
Just saying. It's all scripted. 17-game season. Scheffer's crew this year called 214 penalties for 1,869 yards, according to NFLpenalties.com and ProFootballReference.com, which said the average is around 14 per game. He ranks number 1 amongst all referees in the 2022 season in calling penalties.
Oh, wow.
He calls a lot of these unnecessary roughness calls. Apparently, he leads the league in that too.
Of all penalties, too.
So, hopefully, he does not ruin the game.
Yeah.
But I'm throwing it out there as a warning sign.
Never say never, but never.
Yeah. So, talk about splendidly sexy and salaciously slippery. This year's Super Bowl halftime performer will be none other than Rihanna, Miss Rihanna. If you're nasty, thoughts? Do you like her? Are you a fan? Are you?
I like her.
Excited? Are you looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to see what she does with it. I'm sure she's gonna have some collaborations we don't know about. They're gonna pop out. Where's it at this year?
Arizona.
So maybe somebody from a local artist will come out, I don't know, who knows? But it's gonna be.
Isn't Arizona where they had the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson fiasco?
I don't know.
I think it might have been.
But I mean, she's gonna be racy. But times have changed since then too. So who knows?
Maybe she'll just come out topless and just be like, "Let's get this over with."
She's known to wear see-through stuff. She don't mind us knowing what her titties look like. So who knows?
There's been some great ones over the years. Some of my favorites, Bruno Mars.
Yeah, that was good. Prince.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
And then Beyonce and Bruno Mars basically making Coldplay irrelevant. It was like, what? Why is Coldplay even here?
Yeah.
You had them? What do you need Coldplay for?
Yeah.
MJ, of course. U2 playing that very emotional Super Bowl, the one just after 9/11. I still can't watch that one without tearing up. What's your favorite all-time Super Bowl halftime show? Prince.
Yeah. He starts singing Purple Rain and it starts raining.
I knew you were going to say that.
Why do you seem disappointed?
I'm not disappointed. I'm actually excited because you provided me the perfect segue to tell you a story about the Prince Super Bowl halftime show that many people are most certainly not aware of.
I know. It's the government used their weather control system and created the rain to make it a more mystifying performance, right?
Well, that's part of it. That's sort of the story behind the story. But the story that I want to tell is actually a little more about. It's about basically an unsung hero, right?
Okay.
So again, they knew it was going to rain, which indicates that they had planned it all along. But the crew on the ground were basically kind of freaking out. And the stage itself had a lot of moving parts, and obviously there's a lot of cables and light shows and all that kind of stuff. And apparently one of the producers for the Super Bowl halftime show suggested to Prince that maybe he should just lip sync to a recorded recorded performance would be safer.
Do they know Prince?
To which Prince responded by saying, and I quote, I'm Prince. I'm going to play live.
That's great.
To which he followed up by saying, my name is Prince and I am funky.
Wow.
No, he didn't say
I was
that.
like,
I
what
made
the
Wouldn't that be great?
Like he ends every statement with that's his sign off.
Yeah.
Don't mind him.
So,
that's a sign off.
Despite the terrible weather, the halftime show went ahead as planned. And the volunteers began rolling the pieces of the stage around in place onto the field when suddenly something went wrong. Okay, so what happened is that the stage, one of the wheels of the stage had cut and severed one of the cords that held the whole light show together.
Oh shit.
Okay, so apparently, and this is a quote from the producer, he said, there was a man on our lighting crew. His name was Tony Ward. And Tony, realizing we were now counting down to going on air, took his pliers, stripped the insulation from the 3 cables that had been severed, and he inserted them into a plug, just raw, and he held it together for the entire 12.5-minute halftime show in the rain. Just to keep the lights working, knowing that he could be like electrocuted if things did not go well. So this man, Tony Ward, essentially put his life on that. Talk about going the extra mile. Put his life on the line to secure what is one of the most iconic Super Bowl performance in the history of the Super Bowl. Prince playing Purple Rain in the rain, brought to you by Tony Ward, the nameless electrician who was just holding cables together. Damn. How cool is that?
And nepotism. He was cousins with Hines Ward.
Exactly, so of course. Hey, Tony!
Hey!
He's probably he's a lighting guy. He's probably a Teamster, bro. He's like...
the union's got my back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that is a cool story.
It's a pretty cool story. I've been sitting on that story for over a year. I wanted to tell it last year, but I felt like I didn't have time. Anyway, on to the preview. Chiefs have activated Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they put my man, former Bulldog Mecole Hardman, on injured reserve. Hardman is out with an aggravated pelvis injury. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back in. We haven't seen him. He's been on IR.
Yeah.
He's I think it says here he missed the last 9 games of the season with an ankle injury. Of course, they've been on ankle watch all week at NFL media. I don't know what to say. It's like, I think Mahomes is gonna. The only thing that makes a lot of sense to me is that they say that when they ask the Eagles about it, they say, "Look, we're preparing for Patrick Mahomes to be Patrick Mahomes."
Exactly.
Period. Like, the guy's clearly the best quarterback in the league.
Each individual coach.
Yeah, you're gonna need all of them for sure. Yeah. Most of those receivers who were injured in the AFC Championship game appear ready to go. It looks like Juju's going to play. It looks like Kadarius Toney is going to play.
Oh, good.
I think their secondary is also good to go. Ladarius Sneed, who went out with a concussion, I think he's cleared protocol. So, I mean, the Chiefs, I would say, are probably on the lesser side of being 100% than the Eagles. The Eagles have a few injuries to deal with. I think one of their top offensive linemen is dealing with a hamstring or a groin injury or something. But the Eagles appear to be the healthier team. But I don't know. You can never rule out Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can never rule out that fucking Russian novel of a playbook that Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are flipping through over there.
Exactly.
Interesting tidbits about these two teams. This is fucking crazy. You've probably seen it. It's been all over social media. Not only are both teams 16-3 this season, including the playoffs, but both teams have also scored the exact same amount of points this year.
Wow.
Both teams have scored 546 points.
Through the playoffs too?
Yep. Both teams have 6 all-pro players. And both teams obviously finished the regular season as the number 1 team in their respective conferences. I mean, that shit is kind of crazy. I don't know if I've ever heard of that happening before.
I don't remember.
Especially the exact same amount of points. Like what are the chances?
Yeah.
I mean, you throw in the fact that both teams also have black quarterbacks. Both teams have a Kelsey.
Yep.
So because there are so many similarities, I figured for some, it might take a slightly deeper understanding of these two teams in an effort for the neutral fan to decide just who they should be rooting for come Sunday. So I have cobbled together a little sort of brief history and kind of a little understanding of how these two teams were built that I think you will find interesting. And I'm kind of curious what your reactions are, Mr. Rollins.
All right.
So we can start with the Eagles, a little bit of history. We've talked about them before historically on this podcast. For those of you who have stuck around for a long time, the Eagles came into existence in 1933. Old ass team. It was a group led by Bert Bell and Lud Ray, who purchased the bankrupt franchise known as the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets for $2,500.
A lot of money in 33.
Well, considering that the Walmart Group recently purchased the Denver Broncos for somewhere in the neighborhood of $4.65 billion, almost exactly 90 years ago, right?
Damn.
I'd say that was not a bad deal. Think about it. That's $4.65 billion minus $2,500. That equals $4.649 billion divided by 90 years, which comes to an annual inflation rate of $51.66 million US dollars. So the value of that franchise has increased dramatically every year. Can you imagine? That was a pretty good investment.
I looked it up here, and it says in 1933, $2,500 is today $4.6 million.
Wow, you really looked that up fast. That was good.
It's $4.6 billion. That's crazy.
It's on the internet. It has to be true.
Yeah.
This has been mentioned on the pod many times before, but it's one of my all-time favorite history nuggets that in 1943, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers combined for one season due to the manpower shortage created by World War II.
Yeah.
And for that 1 year, the team would be known as the Phil Pitt Steagles. Worst name in football history.
Easily.
They literally just could not decide. Like, I bet it was just like an argument. Like, no, we're naming the team this. No, we're naming the team. You know what? Fuck it. We're just naming it the Steagles.
You know, how long was the argument when they were trying to decide if it's going to be Phil Pitt or Pitt Phil?
Exactly. Who's coming first? Yeah, it was Walt. And they also co-coached.
Wow.
Walt Kiesling of the Steelers, and get this, Greasy Neal of the Eagles were co-coaches, and the team finished 5-4-1. Greasy Neal. I mean, what a fucking name.
Good old Greasy Neal.
Yeah. Let's see. The Eagles had many ups and downs throughout the years, with some good years and some seriously dark days as well. In that 90-year history, the team has only won its conference 5 times in total. They also have 4 league championships, 3 of which were pre-Super Bowl era, 1948,
Right.
49, 1960, and their one and only Super Bowl came just a few years ago in 2017.
Yeah.
They had a long list of amazing quarterbacks throughout the years, names like Donovan McNabb, Randall Cunningham, Ron Jaworski. Nick Foles. Ron Jaworski was the first Eagles quarterback I remember from my childhood.
I remember Ron Jaworski.
And then, of course, you got Carson Wentz, and then, of course, Nick Foles, who ultimately stole the Lombardi trophy from Carson Wentz. Mm-hmm. I'll finish with a fun fact about the Eagles, who are so notoriously known for their unruly behavior that they once decided to build not only a jail in the bottom of their former stadium, Veterans Stadium, but they also built a courtroom.
Oh. Just justice on the spot, huh?
Yes. The idea came about in 1997 when an Eagles fan who was so pissed off that his team was losing to the 49ers began firing off rounds from a flare gun in the direction of a section filled with 49ers fans.
What is he, Swedish?
Exactly. That sounds like some Hugh Gordon versus Iowa shit.
Yeah.
The Honorable Judge Seamus Patrick McCaffrey, no relation to Christian McCaffrey, of course, was retained on Sundays to preside over this shit show that was referred to as Eagles Court.
Wow. Oh, that's good, man. I like that. Because they probably get a fine or something and then probably go, all right, you get back out there by the third quarter.
This is like a reality show waiting to happen. Eagles Court. I love it. Besides the flare gun incident, Eagles fans have been known to throw batteries, coins.
Yeah. They threw batteries at the draft.
Yeah. And in 1968, they famously booed and threw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Yeah.
During a Christmas-themed halftime show. Crazy.
Yeah.
Side note on the Honorable Judge Seamus Patrick McCaffrey. Now, this you're only going to hear on SveNFL. This is where we go the deep dive. Judge Seamus Patrick McCaffrey would later... Seamus, yeah.
Yeah.
He would later get himself elected to the Pennsylvania Superior Court, but was forced to resign in 2014 after an investigation found that he had sent and or received 234 pornographic emails between the years of 2008 and 2012. So he himself could have wound up in Eagles Court.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Interesting, right?
Yes.
As far as how the Eagles were built, this is where it gets pretty fascinating, actually. And I think everything you need to know about how GM Howie Roseman, everything you really need to know about him, is you could see from this one simple fan interaction this season when the Eagles were playing the Texans. Howie spotted this fan. You remember this? He had holding up a homemade sign that said, "Howie, you are forgiven," at the top of the sign. And then it had A.J. Brown's name underneath it, and then it had other like bust receiver like Nelson Aguilar and Jalen Reagor and somebody like their names were crossed out. So he's saying like, "You're forgiven." Howie walks over to this fan, points a finger at him, and says to him in the most Philly way possible, he says, "I'm fucking forgiven for your first fucking Super Bowl. Fuck you." And the fan was like, "Yeah!" Like, it's so Philly, you know what I mean? I think he even took a selfie with him, like with the sign. Like, that's just like, it doesn't get more Philly than that.
It's so cool. Man.
Now, remember that we are only 2 years removed from the steep and dramatic decline of Carson Wentz, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In 2020, the Eagles finished 4-11-1. But since then, Howie fucking Roseman has been on a roll for the ages, building one of the best rosters the NFL has seen in quite some time. The road back to the top clearly starts with taking Jalen Hurts in the 2020 draft. And this was, as I think you mentioned this last week, this was before everything went completely tits up with Carson Wentz, right? At the end of the 2020 season, Wentz gets shipped off to the Colts for draft picks, and Doug Peterson gets fired for trying to lose that last game of the season by benching Jalen Hurts. It's like, what are you doing? Another interesting Howie Roseman pick was Jordan Mailata, a 6'8", 348-pound rugby player who had never played organized football, picked in the 7th round.
Wow.
And they quickly found out that this dude was an absolute beast and is now one of the best left tackles in the game.
Wow.
Howie also appears to have a real knack for spotting overlooked and underappreciated talent. Case in point, linebacker TJ Edwards. This dude went undrafted in 2019. Most teams tagged him as too small and too slow to play in the NFL, but the Eagles picked him up for basically nothing. And over the next 3 years, he went from being a monster on special teams to a starting linebacker and eventually the captain of the defense calling the signals.
Wow.
That's
what it comes down to, man. Scouting.
Absolutely. So I'm not here for this. All this bullshit about Jerry Jones trying to accuse the Eagles of like buying their way to the Super Bowl. It's like the guy's dude's such a tool. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He also, Howie, picks up free agents who maybe were struggling elsewhere. Look no further than the heat-seeking missile built to destroy all quarterbacks, also known as Hassan Reddick.
Yep.
This man has 16 sacks on the year and definitely should have been, at the very least, nominated for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
The Eagles are the first team in NFL history with 6 or more sacks in 4 straight games.
Damn.
They
also had tomato can resume. I mean, a schedule.
Correct.
We can't forget that, man. They've been playing pre and post.
True, but you still have to play the games. You don't get to pick your schedule.
Yeah.
They have 68 sacks on the year. The Eagles were tied for 4th most in history. The Eagles finished 2nd to last in sacks last year with 29.
Wow.
Ahead of only the Falcons, who had 18. Let's go, Falcons! Woo! Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good improvement. You go from one year to the next, from 29 to 68 sacks. That's
great. That's great.
That's literally the largest improvement in NFL history, actually.
Oh, wow.
First team in NFL history with 4 players producing 10 or more sacks.
Damn.
Hassan Reddick has 16. Josh Sweat has 11. Javon Hargrave has 11. Brandon Graham has 11. Throw in Fletcher Cox, who had 7 sacks this year. Plus, you have the young, gifted, and black duo, my man, former Bulldogs, Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. This team is healthy. They're young. They're rocking.
Yeah.
They know how to put the quarterback on his ass.
Man.
Howie's next stroke of genius that put everyone on their asses was picking up wide receiver A.J. Brown in a trade with the Titans during the 2022 draft. Well, it didn't put everybody on their ass. It certainly got Mike Vrabel got out of it. You see that?
Yeah.
You ever see that video? The moment he realized that he had been traded, he jumps up out of his seat. He looks like he wants to punch the wall. And the only thing they had to give up was their 18th pick and their 101st pick in the draft. This is a trade that was so bad from the Titans' perspective that it likely got GM John Robinson fired this year.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Hiring Sirianni to be their head coach back in 2021.
Yeah, nobody thought it was a weird idea.
It seemed like a mistake at the time. You and I have made many a joke about at this man's expense, but in a very short period of time, he has this team firing on all cylinders. I mean, to come in after Doug Peterson and be this good, this quick. Sirianni was the offensive coordinator for the Colts when he got the Eagles job. His success was far from a given or even expected. One of the final strokes was picking up C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Saints, which turned out to be another baller move. The Eagles had one of the best secondary units in football this year. And even though C.J. only played 12 games this year due to a lacerated kidney, dude still tied the league in most interceptions, slotted in between James Bradbury and Darius Slay. I mean, there just was no safe place for a quarterback to throw the ball when you played the Eagles this year. So that is more or less how he built the NFC Championship team.
Nice.
And then that's leaving out the core 4, the 4 guys who were there when they won their last Super Bowl. who were also picked up in the draft. Jason Kelsey and the other names are escaping me at the moment because I have Kelsey brother Bowl on my brain right now. But those guys are still there. They've still got 4 dudes who have Super Bowl championship experience, who were draft picks. I think they got picked in 4 successive drafts. So it's like Howie's out here crushing the draft. Yeah, he's made a couple of dumb wide receiver moves, but for the most part, he's
built the team, man. The draft is still a hit or miss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I listened to a Mike Tomlin interview, man. It was amazing hearing him talking about when like trying to be uncomfortable, like welcoming discomfort. It was so cool, and like people using excuses like I don't have the star players, and he's like, so your excuse is you're not a good coach.
Right.
He's like, the star players are the star players, but then the people who aren't star players, if you're good at your job, you're gonna get them to the max that they can be.
Right. Exactly.
Makes me think about coaching in that way, and Nick Sirianni obviously is maximizing what he's getting from his GM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw it in Carolina this year too, when Matt Rule was fired and Steve Wilkes took over, and suddenly, they were competing for the division. It's like it's a huge difference a good coach makes.
What about the Chiefs? Is anybody saying that they're buying championships?
Well, we'll get to how they're built in a minute. They have a pretty fascinating story too, but let's start with the history. 1959, at the age of 26 years old, Lamar Hunt, owner of the Dallas Texans at the time, was fed up with being stiff-armed by the NFL in his attempt to own an NFL franchise. I think it was at the same time that the NFL was introducing the Dallas Cowboys as an expansion team, so they didn't want Lamar Hunt to have anything. They didn't want him.
Okay.
He was so fed up, in fact, that he and a group of other frustrated millionaires decided to launch their own league that they would call the American Football League. Also known as the AFL. As the president of the AFL, Hunt would keep his team in Dallas, competing in the AFL against teams like the Boston Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos, Houston Oilers, now the Tennessee Titans, of course, the Los Angeles Chargers before they moved to San Diego, and then back to Los Angeles. The New York Titans, later to be known as the Jets, and the Oakland Raiders. Hunt moved the team to Kansas City in 1963 and renamed it the Chiefs, not because Hunt was fascinated with the appropriation of Native American culture. Rather, the team is supposedly named after the mayor of Kansas City, Harold Roe Bartle, whose nickname was the Chief, due to the fact that he had a tendency to dress up like a Native American chief when attending events for Boy Scouts of America, an organization he helped to create in 1925.
Just when you thought it wasn't going to be problematic at all.
So Lamar Hunt's not racist. It's the mayor of Kansas City who's
the
a
chief.
Racist. Yeah. So, I'm seeing a lot of pushback at the moment, obviously, again, for people calling out the Chiefs. It for the very least, this tomahawk chop thing. Yeah. But whatever, we'll see what that goes.
Like whatever.
Chiefs won a handful of AFL titles, and after the NFL-AFL merger, they played in but lost the very first Super Bowl ever, Super Bowl numero uno, losing 35-10 to the Packers. The Chiefs would go on to win Super Bowl IV in 1969 in convincing fashion, 23-7 against the Minnesota Vikings. Lamar Hunt himself is credited for the title game being called the Super Bowl. We talked about this last year. Yeah. The NFL tried a number of different branding options for the championship game, including, now tell me what you think of these, the AFL NFL World Championship game.
Okay.
Brilliant marketing. Yeah. It's a little long. It's a little on the nose. Little on the nose. Another title they came up for the championship game. the big one.
I like that. You gonna be playing in the big one?
It sounds like a nickname for a man's penis, don't you think?
Come on, girl. Let me pull out the big one.
Another discarded title was the Pro Bowl.
Oh no, that's my god.
Which they obviously found a use for later. And finally, their big idea was to call the title game the World Series of Football.
Oh no! Oh, it's so corny.
Which
they could have called it the big competition between the best two football teams.
Which is like the AFL, NFL, right? Wow. I think that one is has to be the World Series of worst ideas the NFL has ever had.
Yeah, Super Bowl's good.
So Hunt started calling it the Super Bowl because apparently one of the more popular toys at the time were these these vulcanized rubber Super Balls, the ones that bounce like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And his kids were playing with them all the time, and he had that. He was also kind of the idea of calling it a bowl in the first place was really more borrowed from the college football tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the NFL, I think the NFL, the first 3 or 4 Super Bowls were actually called the AFL NFL World Championship game. And I think it was somewhere later that Hunt started calling it the Super Bowl, and the press liked it. It was catchier. It was easier to write. Mm-hmm. And so it was one of those ideas that just kind of caught on without the NFL really wanting it to. And they actually had to go back and retroactively name the first 3 or 4 Super Bowls Super Bowl.
Super Bowl one, yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably because there was a podcast going on back then that the NFL listened to before they started listening to us.
Started stealing that shit. So despite being perennial playoff contenders throughout the 80s and 90s, they would not win another Lombardi trophy until Andy Reid came along, and more specifically, Mr. Magic Man himself, the one and only Patrick Mahomes, ending what was once the longest Super Bowl championship drought in NFL history of 50 years between titles.
Damn.
An unfortunate honor that has now been passed on to the New York Jets, who have not won a Super Bowl since 1968. So that's 55 years ago.
They beat us by 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
5 years.
One notable record belongs to Chiefs All-Pro defensive player Derek Thomas, who holds the single-game sack record, sacking the Seahawks QB Dave Krieg 7 times in one game in 1990. Sadly, despite all those sacks, the Chiefs still lost to the Seahawks 17-16. How much does that suck? You go out there and get 7 sacks. You got to walk off the field with the L. It's like, man.
Could y'all do something?
Help a brother out. And last but not least, I can't talk about Chiefs history without mentioning one former player who has one of the coolest nicknames in the history of all sports. I'm talking about running back Christian Okoye, a.k.a. the Nigerian Nightmare.
Yeah, man. My dad put me onto him when I was a kid. I had his card and everything.
What a name. And did that dude have some shoulder pads or what?
Man, yeah, he looked like a tank.
If you have not seen Christian Okoye, Google Christian Okoye highlights. The dude is a massive human.
I wonder if he's still alive.
I think he is, actually. I saw one of those, A Football Life. Mm-hmm. They did A Football Life on him on NFL Network. It was a pretty cool story. He started out as a track star. He was wanting to compete in the Olympics. He came to America to train to make it to the Olympics. But then he started playing football and running dudes over.
Damn.
Yeah. He was out there doing angry runs before they even called it angry runs. So on to how the Chiefs were built. On paper, the Chiefs appear like a very top-heavy team. Obviously, you have Patrick Mahomes in year 2 of a 10-year, $450 million contract. They got Travis Kelce, future Hall of Famer. You got the pass rushing duo of Chris Jones and Frank Clark, who are getting paid very well to sack motherfuckers directly into Middle Earth. Offensive lineman Joe Tooney and Orlando Brown Jr. were also high-priced additions that the team brought in to protect Mahomes. Those 6 players alone combined for 53% of the Chiefs' salary cap.
Wow.
Compare the Chiefs to the Eagles, whose top 25 players combined for 53% of their salary cap.
Wow.
And now you have a pretty interesting challenge of building out the rest of your roster. And essentially the Chiefs have done that successfully by crushing the living shit out of the draft these last few years. Okay? Kansas City has made 22 selections over the past 3 NFL drafts. And given how badass they are in the regular season, the Chiefs have never had a selection like above the 21st overall pick.
Wow.
Right? They're always picking pretty late.
Yeah.
They had no first rounder in 2021, and they picked 32nd in 2020, obviously. Yet, general manager Brett Veach and his staff have been on an absolute fucking heater. Okay? 17 of those 22 selections were playing in the AFC title game.
Wow.
Including 10 of whom played at least half of the snaps.
Damn.
And they came from all over the draft, from first to late rounds. Okay? The list of dudes who showed up and showed out in that AFC title game to get them to the Super Bowl: Isaiah Pacheco, 201st overall out of Rutgers. Okay? 85 yards combined in the AFC title game, in a game where yards were pretty tough to come by.
Yeah.
Defensive end George Karlaftis, the 30th pick in the draft from Purdue. He had a sack in that game. First round cornerback Trent McDuffie from Washington had 2 pass deflections and 6 tackles while taking 98% of the snaps.
Wow.
You got cornerback Joshua Williams, the 131st selection from Fayetteville State.
Damn.
Had his own pick by snagging a brilliant tip by fellow first-year defensive back Brian Cook, a second rounder from Cincinnati. And then, of course, you've got my man, former Wendy's employee, a man who knows that a Frosty is far more important than just being a thick-ass milkshake, from Augusta, Georgia, cornerback Jalen Watson, who went 243rd out of Washington State, had an interception for 2 consecutive playoff games.
It's coaching, man.
And then you got these rookies from last year, Nick Bolton, Creed Humphreys, Trace Smith. All of them played nearly every defensive snap and balled the fuck out.
Wow, that's impressive.
There's been a lot of interesting articles about how the Chiefs have just mastered the middle of the draft over the last 3 years. And despite the fact that obviously they have these 5 or 6 players that eat up over half of their cap space, this goes to show you what a competent GM and his staff and his scouting crew and all these people, like, this is what makes great football teams.
And the synergy between the scouting and the coaching.
And mind you, they lost this year, like, literally the best wide receiver in Kansas City Chiefs franchise history, in Tyreek Hill. And easily probably a future Hall of Famer, one of the best receivers we've seen in over a decade. Everybody, myself included, thought that the Chiefs would probably not win their division this year.
I didn't think that.
Let's see. I can prove that
we bet on them. But that's a collaboration.
No, I still picked. No, I did not. No, I did not pick them to win their division. I picked. Oh, no, I did. I did actually.
Yeah,
I picked them to win their division.
You got to knock out the champ.
There's been some great, one of the great quotes of the year was from Travis Kelce. He said, man, you look around the division, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, these motherfuckers went out there and spent $1 billion to beat the Chiefs, and we still here.
Oh.
You think about all those moves that those teams made.
Yep.
You know, Khalil Mack going to the Chargers, Russell Wilson, Devonta Adams. All that money got spent to beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are still on top. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
All right, let's get our pick, man, and get on Our final
the next
pick of the year.
The next thing in my notes is flip the goddamn coin already.
Oh man, whose turn is it, man?
That's a good question. I don't remember. I do not remember. I don't remember.
Well,
I think you went first last time, but I think I made you go first.
I'll look on the sheet here.
I think I asked you to go. I think, yeah.
Yeah, you flipped last time. It's my.
So is it my turn to call it?
No, I call.
It's my turn to call it.
It's my turn to call.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna go tails.
You're gonna go. That's what the tails looks like. This is tails.
Oh wow.
It's the. I forget what it is. It's a weird tails, and then of course you got the regular. George Washington.
George.
Mm-hmm.
Georgie boy.
You're going tails.
Going tails.
All right. Here's the flip. This is the last flip of the 2022 Flip 'em and Pick 'em season.
Damn.
I will remind everyone that we are tied 50 to 50.
50 to 50 in the playoffs. Schif won the regular season.
This coin means everything right now.
Means everything.
Actually, I don't know because I honestly don't know who I would pick. I'm very split.
Yeah.
I'm torn. All right. Anyway, shut up and flip it. You pick tails. Here we go. The final coin toss of the 2022 Flip 'em and Pick 'em season is heads.
Oh, the one to lose is this one, man. Are you picking or are you going to defer?
I think I'm going to pick. If you're going to win, you should win by picking. And if you're going to lose, you should lose by making the wrong pick. Not picking on the final flip is a little like Nathaniel Hackett trying to kick a 70-yard field goal in week 1 when he has Russell Wilson as his quarterback. Am I right?
Asking your game decision guy.
Right.
What are we
like,
gonna do?
Can I get a little help over here? I'm very split. Obviously, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. They have Travis Kelce. They're not 100%. That makes me a little nervous. I feel like the Eagles have not played they have not played a lot of stiff competition this year. I don't think they've ever had to play from behind this year. In any of the games that they've won, they've never had to win from behind.
They've had to hold off smaller leads, but they haven't. Yeah, they haven't had to do much coming back.
I think you know what I'm. The one thing that has me leaning in one direction over the other is the Eagles' defense. The Eagles' defense and that fucking heat-seeking missile, Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
And the rest of those dudes. And the fact that even if Patrick Mahomes is healthy enough to play, I have more faith in the Eagles to be able to do what the Bengals could not, which is to get to Patrick Mahomes. And not that you would intentionally try to injure him, but in the course of trying to sack him into Middle Earth, you certainly have a pretty good chance of him perhaps not finishing the game. I would absolutely hate if this Super Bowl turns into basically part 2 of the NFC Championship game, where it's like you take a key player and knock him out of the game.
Yeah,
like that would be so fucking boring.
It would mar their playoffs too, man. It would be the asterisk that everybody's looking for.
Yeah, but they wouldn't give two fucks. They had a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah,
it's a ring is a ring. Championship would be theirs. I don't normally do this. I don't usually do the defense wins championship thing. I'm really I'm like everybody else. I'm a little more excited by offense. Under normal circumstances, I would pick the Kansas City Chiefs, but on this particular occasion, I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
Skip is picking the Eagles. Nice.
What would you have picked had you won the coin toss?
I'm picking the Chiefs.
That's who you would have picked if you won the coin toss?
Yeah. The Eagles haven't seen an offense like they're going to see in this game.
That's true. That does make me nervous.
They're going to, and then they've had 2 weeks. You're giving Andy Reid 2 weeks to prepare.
Right.
And if you run through the quarterbacks they faced this season, and even in this playoffs, it's going to be a rude awakening. However, defense does win championships, and if there's a defense that can hang with them, it's going to be this defense. They don't have Tyreek Hill to really blow it open anymore, so they're going to have to, yeah.
To be clear, I actually hope the Chiefs win. I don't know. I think it's kind of...
It's going to be good. I think we're going to get us a good game. We always want that. But I feel like, thankfully, the best two teams are in it. Both teams are capable of winning the game. You can map it out how an argument for both teams. But I got to go with the MVP, man. I got to go with the better coach. That's what we normally do. We go with better coach, better quarterback. I think, like Bill Clinton says, keep it simple, stupid.
I think he said some other things too, like, "Hey, put this in your mouth." I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I'm assuming he said something.
Where do I put it? Your dress? Okay.
Do you like cigars? Well, maybe you just haven't had the right one yet.
Yeah. Smells all right. That smells all right.
Oh, what a dirty motherfucker.
Bite my lip. I'll bite my lip. That means I'm just giving you a little shout out.
That's pretty good.
Little shout out, Monica.
That's a pretty good Bill Clinton impression there.
Thanks, man. All right, man. Well, that's it, man. We have our final pick in. We got the road to the Super Bowl via franchise. I love that. And we got our news in, man. The next time we talk to you, listeners that are not Patreon subscribers, because you get to hear some bets, but the average listener is going to hear us talking about who won this final flip and pick 'em and who won ultimately. What's the name of the game?
The splendidly sexy, salaciously slippery Super Bowl Extravaganza.
Yeah, so we'll catch y'all on the other side. Thanks so much. It's been we gotta
hit that music.
Get his music right. We gotta end it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I like your nature, girl.
We didn't do the sexiest. That would have been great. We're getting the sexiest, but it's been Jonathan Rollins
and Skif Musara
with SveNFL. We'll catch y'all on the other side of the season. God damn. Peace.
Later, y'all.